Transformation, right? Let's get serious. Let's start talking about some serious stuff. It's what you're here for. And to ask questions, maybe. But transformation is something that all of us are involved in one way or another, right? One way or another. Either A, you're stoked at where you're at. Life's good. Heading in a bitchin' direction. This is exactly what I want to do. This is exactly how I want it to be, right? All that stuff, you're on track. You're doing it. So keep doing what you're doing in that case. But there are a number of us that maybe have some challenges in our life, maybe have some things that aren't going quite how we'd like them to, and are trying to figure out, how can I change that? How can I alter my life? How can I alter my path? How can I get myself heading in the right direction? Now, I think there's a big key that a lot of us, a mistake we make maybe. Yeah, I think it's perception. I really think. I mean, it's not really a mistake. It's just sometimes looking at something a little differently can like turn that light on and you're like, I get it now. In transformation, there's a little key here, and I'm not going to bury it, but I kind of got to build up to it. There's a couple little keys, I think, that are going to make a big difference. And when we look at transformation differently, when we kind of alter how we view that, you can actually change. It can be the deal breaker. It can be the difference between, I've been struggling with this and struggling with this and struggling with this, to then within a week or whatever, just depending, all of a sudden, everything's back on track. Maybe a day, maybe an hour. So again, we're either currently there or currently not. Now, one of the keys to first look at is, are you generally speaking, and I need honesty from all of you, are you generally speaking someone that's more of a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of person? I mean, I'd love it if some of you guys even chime in and chat right now and sort of kind of acknowledge what kind of person you fall into. But are you a glass half full, glass half empty? Do you generally see the good in people, the good in things, that things generally work out, that, yeah, there may be a bumpy road here, but we'll get through it. There's always a way, like, versus everything always is horrible. People kind of generally suck. I don't like it. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust people, but I'm a glass half full guy, so don't let that one sway you, you know. But from the general standpoint, kind of where you're at in that whole scheme, I liken that to your consciousness. And if there's a transformation that needs to occur, it's going to be there. Goddard's talked a lot about it. A lot of other masters have talked about it. But it really comes down to consciousness. It really comes down to what I believe and feel and understand the world to be. Now, the confusing part about all that, it's consciousness. It does. It got you. I can tell other people that too. But what does that really mean? And that is a very challenging proposition, it seems. To me, consciousness is kind of that what I'm aware I am, what I know to be, what I am doing. It's that part of me that is, one, aware of the surroundings. Like it's the part that's constantly like, oh my God, look at that. That's an ugly dress. Or, oh, look at that. That's a beautiful car. Or, oh, that house would be wonderful. I'd like to eat at that restaurant. That conscious part that's constantly throughout the day, just like a kid going, what's that? What's that? What's that? That to me is kind of the consciousness. Now, that part of us has some beliefs, has some views about life, has some definite opinions about the way things are. That's your consciousness, in my mind. Or at least I'm trying to liken it to that to help us all understand what the heck it is. So by realizing I'm a glass half full, glass half empty kind of person, gives me an indication, you, me, whoever, gives us an indication what we kind of need to work on and what this transformation's going to be. If you're a glass half full kind of person, then just kind of keep yourself shifted in the direction you're going. Your transformation's occurring. You're not necessarily, maybe you're transforming into a more vertical climb, right? A vertical in the sense of better and faster and higher or whatever. Just we're trying to come up with relative terms. But if you're someone that's kind of on the glass half empty side, your transformation is going to be a bit more of a shift in this regard. Like, things are possible. I do have the ability to affect my life. I got that parking place that one time. Someone gave me a bottle of water. I found $1 on the street the other day. Things can happen. I am sure of that. I know for fact that I can do it. And when we start shifting from everything sucks to I think things tend to be pretty good. I see things kind of working better for me. I'm noticing that I slowed down before that motorcycle cop up there, just ironically, like the life's looking out for me, the world's looking out for me, like whatever, right? Like I'm starting to see that shift. Just acknowledging that I'm seeing a change for our minds, for our consciousness is like, okay, yeah. I'll get behind this. I'll give you a break. So one of the things that we do or forget, and I think is an amazing reminder. I want all of you guys to think of a child that's in your life. Most of us, I honestly think you get past a certain point in your life and you forget what it was to be a child, an innocent child. And really that innocent child is very close to where we come from. So children still tend to remember where we come from. Now, some of you might not, I don't want to debate all that, but we're energy that lives forever, right? We didn't just have a start and then poof, show up in this life and then we live forever. No, we lived forever prior to poof, ending up in this life. And hey, guess what? We're going to continue to live forever after. Oh, I didn't put my picture over here. That's horrible. Look at that. Right, there you go. That's a big improvement. But we make that transition in our life, big transitions in our life, when we forget what it's like to truly imagine, to truly pretend that something exists. See, as adults, we call it pretending because that's what children are doing. They're pretending. But to a child, in their mind, it's real. It's real. When they have a tea party with the frog and the piggy and the whoever, right? SpongeBob, I don't even know who right? He wouldn't be at a tea party. Everyone knows that. First off, the water in the ocean would cool off the tea. It would just ruin the experience. But that being said, right? She's sitting at a table, and these people are literally having conversations with her. God knows where she's at. Maybe she's in the same kind of room, but she's enjoying herself. But she's completely believing this reality to be so. And because of that, it's real to children. And then we as adults are like, oh, you're pretending, you're make-believing, none of that's real. Those are just imaginary friends. You shouldn't talk to imaginary people. How do I know they're imaginary, Mommy? Well, if I can't see them, they're imaginary to you. Right? Like, we just shatter that dream. But ultimately, it's because our dream was shattered as kids. That's what you do. Not that we're here to ruin our kids' lives, but we ultimately forget the power of thinking about something, imagining something like it's real, and it actually being real. Because that's where we come from. We still are there. It's just like we're walking around in cold molasses. We manifest in cold molasses. We manifest in cold water, right? It's just slow. It just slows everything down. It takes a lot of getting used to for us. That's why so many of us are like, why can't I have it now? It's like, well, because, and two, we can't seem to keep our thoughts in a positive direction long enough to make sure it happens. So find a child. Ask them questions while they're imagining. Ask them what they see. Ask them what they believe. Don't criticize. Don't question it. Don't tell them it's right or wrong, but ask. Because we've forgotten as adults, the smart ones who know what's going on. Yeah, well, yeah, no, we got it. We got this figured out, don't we? But we're the ones who can't transform our society, our worlds. We can't make things better. But kids, they can. What's the difference? Well, they believe what they imagine, period. So they imagine something, and they believe it. Done. That's consciousness. That is consciousness perfected. We managed to strip it of all of its beautiful parts. It's like taking a business and being like the company that owns my current, the company I work for, and they generally come in and they'll take a piece and sell it, and they'll take another piece, sell it, take another piece, break it up, sell it, ruin it. So remember that childlike innocence. Now, we see transforming as a number of things that need to happen. So that's where a lot of us come at this from, right? I want to be with a specific person, or I want to manifest more income. I want to manifest a different job. I want to manifest a better house, a better life. I want to move. And when we look at the thing that we're trying to manifest, we see it as from where we're at right now. So right now, I want to move to Australia, and I live in Southern California. So right now, I look at it like, all right, oh, God, to move to Australia, like, my work, and then, oh my God, I'd have to sell like a bunch of stuff. And then so we start kind of thinking about all the things we got to do to get from here to there. But that's actually kind of the wrong way to look at it. Really, if you think about it, the best way to get there is to think about there, Australia, realize that that's where I've got to get, and go, okay, make it so. And what happens then is a series of steps begin to show themselves to get me from where I am now to where I want to go, which is Australia, mate. Right? So I want to figure out a way to do that. So you go to the place that you want to be. You say, all right, here I stand in Australia. I stand in Sydney, or I stand in Perth, or I stand in wherever the heck I want to go. I'm here. I want to get my consciousness to this place. Thank you very much. And I do that by imagining being there, how cool it's going to feel to be standing in Sydney or Perth or wherever else. I don't know all the major cities in Australia. I think Perth's way off on the side, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I imagine that. I create the place. I experience it. I feel it as though it's there. I live in the wish fulfilled. I am in the end. Whatever crazy name you got for it. That's what you're doing. You're imagining, you're making believe that you're there. And you make believe so good that you feel it. It's like it's real. And you're almost like you're a kid again. And once you do that, cool little neat thing happens. Kind of like that, like Maps or Google Maps or MapQuest or whatever mapping software you use, Siri Maps or whatever. I don't know if Apple's got a special map program. Apple Maps, whatever. Just call them whatever the hell they are. So what they do is they go, all right, that's where you're going. All right, and they draw a line back to you. You don't draw a line from where you are to it. You draw a line from it back to you. And what that does is that immediately creates the appropriate, correct, right steps for you to end up in that location. And as a child, you accept the fact that, no, yeah, that's where I'm going. And people will be like, well, why do you assume that? And you're like, well, I imagined it. I was totally there, and that's what I want to do. Done. And they're like, wait, no, it's not that easy. And you're like, yeah, it is. And stop crashing on my little tea party, adult. Yeah, it is that easy. Pretend you're there, and guess what happens if that's really your intention? Now, kids aren't necessarily pretending to go to another location. They're just hanging out with friends for the most part and having fun and hanging out with people they love and miss. For us, we're actually trying to transform our reality. So, imagine, pretend that you're there. Understand that's where I'm going. I'm going there. This is it. I've made the decision in my mind consciously that is where I'm going. Or I'm getting that new job. Or I'm going to buy a new house. Or I'm going to get a new house in this city. Or I'm going to date so-and-so. Or I'm going to find love finally after so much time, whatever. I am finally I'm doing this. This is happening. And it's in a now kind of concept. I'm doing it now. Which means I have it because it's going to happen, but it doesn't mean I have it right this second. So I don't just be like, oh, hi job that I'm not actually currently working. No, it's like, okay, so what am I doing today to take a step towards that? What's my first stepping stone? I don't know if you guys have been in those yards, right? Where they've got those little special stones that you step on, right? And they just kill the grass right underneath, or the earth, or whatever the hell it is, right underneath that. Maybe crazy bugs are living under it, but whatever. And then stuff grows all around it, but you just walk on the stepping stones. That's what manifestation is. So what's the next stepping stone? That's your focus. What's the next stepping stone? There's a bunch of stepping stones. I'm at the back door of my house, and there's a shed, maybe 50 feet out there, and I've got stepping stones or a worn path, whatever, to it. What do I have to do to get to it? I don't question the fact that I'm going to end up in the shed. I don't question the fact that I'm currently in the house and be like, oh, it's impossible. I'll never get to the shed. What could I ever do? Oh, yeah, that's right. Step, 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 step. Hey, the shed. Cool. I'm there. That's what we're doing. It's not that we pretend in our brains that it's real and that somehow creates it. No, you're creating a destination and you're going there. And you're doing it in such a fashion that works in space-time. You're doing it in such a fashion that works with our consciousness. You're doing it in such a fashion that other people around us can believe. Just how things play out in this molasses world. It's how it is. But that's how manifesting occurs. So one of the fun things about wherever you're traveling in life, wherever you're at this moment, wherever you're going, if you decide you want to transform where you're heading, all you got to do is open up that map program in our minds. Set the destination. It doesn't care where you're at right now, does it? No. It's going to get you there from wherever you are. So imagine yourself, put yourself there, and guess what? Guess where you're going to end up? The little red line. Oh, please make a right turn in 50 feet. Suddenly you've got directions to your location. You can change your destination at any point. And in fact, for some of you that are, just to keep on the analogy with your map program, I'm on my way to a specific location and I'm like, ooh, kind of hungry. You guys hungry? How about we see if we can find a restaurant that's between here and there, and it'll add a stop along the way. Yes, that's part of the journey. You're heading to where you're going. You're transforming your life and your consciousness. And you're realizing that by pretending to get there, you're actually going there. And when we finally accept that, embrace that, realize that, become that, your consciousness shifts to a place where it's like, yes, that's possible. I believe that's going to happen. I know that's happening. And your consciousness shifts. It's like the mirror technique, and I believe I've got it linked below. But it's when you look in the mirror and you're like, I am successful. I am smart. I am funny. I am what I need to be to get this job. I am what I need to be or who I need to be to attract this person. Look in the mirror and stare yourself in one of your eyes. It's usually one eye, right? You stare at one eye. Stare at yourself and tell yourself that. I am these things. I am this. I am that. Shift your consciousness and know that you're going to the destination. Your maps, just follow the maps. Follow the stepping stones. And your desire is just over the path there. Hope that helps, guys. Dan Radio Style,